Hi, everyone. This is Linda from Lilybug's Library, and I'm back with an update for the May to be read and maybe a few more books that I might have bought. We'll start with the to be read and for Mystery May. So I was working on a few different ones. I was working on Swan Light, and that wasn't part of Mystery May. I had started it before then, but I have finished that one, in case you forget what it looked like. And it was good. I like the fact that it was set in Newfoundland. The characters in it were good. The story was interesting. It was had a decent amount of action in it, a little bit of romance. So it wasn't bad. I don't think it was my favorite read, but it held its own. I'd probably give it about a 3.5. It was think kind of what maybe made it less than what I had hoped. It just had a harder time holding my attention. I don't know if there wasn't enough action or whether it was the fact that it was just different than what I usually read. I don't know. But anyway, give it a try, see what you think. It wasn't bad. Um, the next one was part of Mystery May. It was The Spirited Swindler. And that one kind of I was mostly happy with it. I mean, I do like a cozy mystery, and this one was certainly that. It took place in a small town. The woman's name Quinn was starting her own bakery. She had a best friend Tony that they did everything together. All really cute, really cozy. And then there was a ghost that was haunting her, wanting her to do certain things. And the part that I didn't like is her husband had cheated on her, or it seemed like he had cheated on her, more or less. And then uh, he was very uncaring, and you know, he didn't like her starting her own business. He wanted her home all the time. He was, but not in a nice way. Like he just did not seem like a great guy. And it seemed like he had checked out of the marriage long before. And I know that happens. I mean, I get it, but I do find that there's seems to be a lot of books where the female character um, is rising up and getting her own business and doing all these things, but it's often because of this cheating spouse or an uncaring spouse or whatever. And it's like I don't think that it's needed to put men down to raise women up. That's just my opinion. Um, so that part I didn't like. I didn't care much for that. But the story itself, it was kind of cute. The ghost in it was just nasty. Like she was not a nice woman um, in life, and then even in death, she was kind of a jerk. So, so that part, like she's definitely the character you love to hate. But I think my favorite part of it, my favorite character in it, was definitely the main character's best friend, Tony. She had just a lot of spunk and came up with some good ideas and was always there for Quinn. So I like that part of it. So I'd probably give that about a 3.5 as well. Um, the other one I have finished is Cavaliered to Death. So that was cute. It was had a lot of twists and turns in it, and I really liked the main character, Kat, and she had a lot of growth in it, which was nice. It's always good to see a character kind of grow and change. She had some trauma from a dogfighting ring that she broke up, probably in the last book, but I'm not sure whether there is a book about that. But anyway, they talked about it. And then she met Russ, who he wasn't FBI, but he was like a consultant for the FBI. So they had a few sparks there, and she had to kind of get over some of the things that she was struggling with to be able to kind of let him in. And so the whole thing, and then the whole thing where they were kidnapping dogs and people were getting murdered all because of trying to get the right dog for this dog show and trying to kind of change the results. All that was really interesting. I mean, I don't know a lot about, you know, purebred dogs or dog shows, but I found it good. So I'd probably give that one about a 4 out of 5. So really enjoyed it. Now we'll talk about this one, although it's not much to say. This is The Dead Girl in 2A, and it was I didn't finish it. I I did pretty good. I was reading it with my husband, and we enjoyed it, and thought it was interesting, and we were, kind of fascinated by it. And uh, a lot of you start out with Clara and Jake, I think his name was. They're on a plane together, are starting to discover that um, they neither one has a very good memory. There's a lot of things that they've forgotten, but they feel like they know each other. They're just not sure why. And as readers, you're not sure why either. And Clara is kind of odd. She talks about being secluded for, I don't know, months, I guess, and not going out in public. And then she says she used to be a teacher, and then all of a sudden she just didn't go out. And then she talks about going someplace to kill herself. And you think, okay, like something seriously wrong here. And Jake can't seem to get any more than that out of her, but he's seeing a lot of similarities with his own life. And I won't give too much away. I mean, I can't give too much away. I didn't read it all, but it turns out that they were both part of some experiment. And I was doing good. I was on board right up until they started talking about this room filled with blood, and it's like, okay, I'm done. So that was it. It got a little too creepy and scary for me. My husband went and read the kind of like a few reviews and spoilers of it, and I guess it got even creepier. So so I'm glad that I stopped it. But anyway, that's the way that one goes. There can't all be winners, right? We're still working on Agatha Christie. So far, that one's pretty good. It's a little different because, of course, it was written so long ago. I think 1930s, maybe. So it's got a few word choices and things that I didn't particularly care for, but that was the time it was written. So right now they're all of the main characters, and there's a lot of them, but they're all in this. I'm gonna say a castle, but I don't think it's a castle. It's just a house, but it's on an island, and they are all there and starting to discover that they don't exactly know who invited them. That each one thought it was, an acquaintance of an acquaintance, and then it turns out that nobody really knows, and the person who's supposed to be there isn't, and it's getting to be more of a mystery now. I do find that there's a lot of characters, so it's a little hard to keep them straight, but we're getting there. Only, I don't know, a few chapters in, so I'm sure it'll get clearer as we go along. And then I'm reading two other books that are not actually part of Mystery May, but one I'm reading for book club. It's called My Husband's Daughter, and so far it's really good. I'm actually listening to it on Audible. So I'm enjoying it. It's this man's ex shows up at his house with a girl who turns out to be his daughter. And then it's about his wife trying to come to terms with that because she never wanted kids. And now this woman is there with the daughter, and they end up taking her in. I won't give away the reason why, but they end up taking her in for a while, the woman and the daughter. So it's everyone kind of figuring out how to cope with that and what that means in their life. So so far pretty good. Now this is the other one I've been reading on Kindle, and it's the one I'm most interested in. I have to say, it's really kind of captured my attention. It's called Dead and Stormy Night. And this is one cover for it. Now, I've seen another cover that's got some woman on the front, and I don't like it as well. I like this cover. So, anyway, I started out thinking it was a mystery, which it sort of is, but the way they described it, and I'm just reading my notes here, A Cozy Fantasy with Spice, The Nevermore Bookshop Mystery, Book One. Well, it's definitely got spice. So, little, it's got a lot of spice. Not all the way through it, but it basically starts out. It's this woman named Mina who ends up. I can feel a sneeze coming on. I'm sorry. This woman named Mina who ends up coming home from New York, and she starts to work in this bookshop that she remembers as a kid, the Nevermore Bookshop. So it's a very odd place. It's got the owner whose name is Heathcliff, like in Wuthering Heights. It's got his roommate whose name is Moriarty, like in Sherlock Holmes. And it's got a bookstore Raven who every time every time someone starts to quote the Edgar Allan Poe poem to him, he ends up pooping on them. So doesn't like the poem. So anyway, those are the characters. And when she gets in there and she kind of settles in, she learns there's a lot more to this bookstore than what she thought. And then her ex best friend turns up and ends up getting murdered in the bookstore. So she is now the prime suspect. So it did turn out to be a murder mystery, so that's great. But there's a lot more to it than that. Now, the spice part is apparently the guys are very hot and her thoughts are very steamy. And not everyone's going to be happy with that or like that. Um, I don't find it really takes away from what the whole book is about. Um, but it borders on erotica at some points. So if that's not your jam, I would stay away from it. Definitely would be considered paranormal. I would consider it more that than fantasy, I think, but that's just my interpretation. But so far, I'm enjoying the story, and the characters are funny and engaging, and so I like all of that. And I'm kind of interested to see where it all ends up. So we'll see how that goes. And then I went to work yesterday. Usually I work from home, but I went to work and there's a chapters right there. And so they had, 3 books for $10. How can you turn that down? So I ended up picking up 3 new books. I don't like the fact that they put stickers on them, but what can you do? All right, I'll try to get those off later with some Goo Be Gone, I think it's called. But this one is called Daughters of the Resistance, and it says Ukraine 1943. On a train to Germany, Lisa Smirnova is terrified for her life, heading for one of Hitler's labor camps. Taken from everything she holds dear, Lisa wonders if she will ever see her family again. In Nazi occupied Kiev, Irina Antonova could be arrested at any moment. Trapped in a job registering the endless deaths around her, she risks her life secretly helping her neighbors, while her husband has joined the resistance, fighting the German advance. Both women's lives change forever when Lisa's train is intercepted by the resistance, Irina's husband among them. As Irina fights to protect her family, Lisa is forced to confront the horrors of war, and together they must make an impossible decision. So I think it'll be really good. And I did say Kiev, and I think now it's being pronounced Kiev. I can't remember. I'm sorry. It's hard to keep track sometimes when the names of things change due to the political climate. But the next one is called The Moonglow Sisters. And I think this one sounds pretty good too. And again, look, it's got stickers everywhere. But it says, once the town was the home of the Clark sisters, brought up by their grandmother at the Moonglow Inn. Nicknamed the Moonglow Sisters, as children they were inseparable. Then a wedding day betrayal tore them apart, and they scattered across the globe and away from one another. Now the sisters have at last come home. There's Maddie, smart, sensible, and stubborn. Shelley, who ran off to find her bliss. And Gia, a free spirit determined to keep the peace. It's Gia's impending wedding that keeps them together, but Gia has a secret, and when her sisters find out, chaos ensues. The Moonglow Sisters continues Laurie Wilde's trademark storytelling to create an unforgettable novel of family, betrayal, love, and second chances. So I think it sounds really good. I like those kind of generational stories and stories with a lot of family and how they kind of navigate things. And I'm interested to see what the wedding day betrayal was, what that has to do with anything. I mean, I'm assuming it wasn't Gia's wedding day betrayal because that's what brought them back together. So I'm not really sure. And there's a picture on the back of Lori Wilde. I don't know if you see that. So yeah, it sounds really interesting, and I've never heard of her before, so I'm interested to see what the book's all about. And apparently, down at the bottom it says P.S. Insights, interviews, and more. So maybe that's at the back. So I got that one, and then for my third book, I got one called The Cactus. And this one says, for Susan Green, messy emotions don't fit into the equation of her perfectly ordered life. She has a flat that is ideal for one, a job that suits her passion for logic, and an interpersonal arrangement that provides cultural and other more intimate benefits. But suddenly, confronted with the loss of her mother and the news that she is about to become a mother herself, Susan's greatest fear is realized: she's losing control. Enter Rob, a dubious but well meaning friend of her indolent brother. As Susan's due date draws near and her dismantled world falls further into a tailspin, Susan finds an unlikely ally in Rob. She might have a chance at finding real love and learning to love herself, if only she can figure out how to let go. So, yeah, that sounds good too. And I think it'll have some humor in it. And says even the prickliest cactus has its flower. So we'll kind of see where that all goes. And it is part of Reese's book club, which Reese and I don't always agree on what makes for good books. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm willing to give it a try. And then I actually have three other books, which I think I told you in one of the other videos that there is a bookcase downstairs in my apartment building where people leave books they've read and you just kind of exchange them. And that's where some of these books will go when I'm finished with them, depending on what I thought of them and whether I want to keep them. But I found three down there that I brought up to read as well. So one is Secrets on the Italian Island. And I brought it up simply because of the cover, because I thought, oh, it looks like a great beach read. So that's what it looks like. And it says, her work has gotten in the way of relationships before, but never like this. Sent to the stunning island of Elba to look for precious metals, Anna must keep her job a secret to avoid upsetting the local conservation group. What she doesn't count on is meeting the distractingly gorgeous Marco. As the pair grows closer, she feels increasingly uneasy about lying to Marco, even though it seems like he has his own secrets. When Anna's old friend Toby visits, her life is complicated further as she finds herself torn between the attentions of two men. With her heart pulled in different directions, Anna has a decision to make. Will sexy Marco sway her, or does love lie back in England with Toby? Hmm. We'll see how this goes. Um, they talk about Toby being an old friend. So I'm hoping that it's not someone she was already in a relationship with and she's cheating on him with Marco, but you never know. So we'll see where it goes anyway. But it does look like the whole Italian island thing kind of drew me in. So we will see. The next one is called The Sweetness at the Bottom of the Pie. And this one's a little chunky, but it says on the back, meet 11-year-old Flavia Deleuze, an aspiring chemist with a passion for poison. It's the summer of 1950, and a series of inexplicable events has struck Buckshaw, the decaying English manor that Flavia's family calls home. A dead bird is found on the doorstep, a postage stamp bizarrely pinned in its beak. Hours later, Flavia finds a man lying in the cucumber patch and watches as he takes his dying breath. For Flavia, who is both appalled and delighted, life begins in earnest when murder comes to Buckshaw. I wish I could say I was afraid, but I wasn't. Quite the contrary. This was by far the most interesting thing that's ever happened to me in my entire life. Hmm. And then it says, the sweetness at the bottom of the pie is a masterfully told tale of deceptions and a rich literary delight. So that could definitely be part of Mystery May if I get to it. But anyway, it looks really good, and it's kind of fascinating. Interesting that it's also about an 11-year-old, which makes me think, could it be considered a middle grade book? I don't know. We'll see. And then the last one, oh, the last one I actually did buy. I bought it from Amazon, I think. It's called Hit and Misses, and it's by Leslie Crew, who is a Canadian author from Cape Breton. And I've read a few of her books before. Some I really enjoyed, some not quite as much. Um, some of them are really, one I read that I really liked was called The Spoon Stealer. And that one, it was funny. It was mostly lighthearted, but at the same time, it had a lot of stuff about family relationships and dealing with all of that. But I really, the whole thing I thought was really good. The reason they called it The Spoon Stealer is because the main character in it did just that. She wanted to remember places she'd been and things that she enjoyed. So she would end up taking a spoon from wherever she was. And more or less harmless, I suppose. But anyway, she got caught doing it once from some woman at the library, I think, and the woman was not happy with her, and she was a very quirky character. So she talked to her dog a lot, and in the story, it was like her dog was talking back to her. So it was kind of almost like a cozy, but I really enjoyed it, and I like the humor in it. So with this one, it says Linda, Bet, Gemma, and Augusta are lifelong friends who live in Montreal. This year, they're all going to turn 50, and to soften the blow, they decide to take a trip to New York together, courtesy of Linda's philandering husband's Visa Platinum. But after a bag mix up at LaGuardia Airport, things start going terribly wrong. When they accidentally kill an aggressive cab driver, the four friends know this is not the trip of shopping and Broadway shows they'd expected. A series of miscommunications and mishaps entangles the friends in the criminal underworld of New York. And from all the bad luck, Linda's husband is staying at the same hotel as the friends with his new girlfriend. And bad people, mobsters, drug addicts, and Linda's husband, emerge four 50-year-old avengers of truth and justice. A hilarious romp through the big city. Hit and Misses celebrates friendship, family, and chutzpah along the way. So again, we have a cheating husband, but that seems to be a theme in some of these. So, but it looks good, and we'll see how that one goes. So that's I've got a lot of reading to do and a lot of things to catch up on, but I'm excited. And so far, Mystery May is going well. I've still got a week or two to finish, so we'll see how that goes. And I'm sitting here today drinking coffee out of my penguin mug because it's only 4 degrees Celsius here, and so it's chilly and makes me think winter's not quite done with us yet, even though it's supposed to be spring. So it depends on the day. So I hope you have a great day. I'm going to get ready now and head to work, and we will talk to you all soon. All right. Bye bye.